Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. If you love beautiful needlework, you like to talk about it, you like to see examples of it, and most importantly, if you hope to be inspired to create your own beautiful projects, you're in the right place. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in the Light. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I wanted to share with you the things I worked on in the month of September. Not all what I expected, but I did have some fun stitching on samplers. And I wanted to show you my progress. I also had a couple of small finishes, one a part of a big project, so I was glad to have that. I also have some gifts to share that were birthday kind of carryovers from my parents and from my in-laws with a gift card. And at the end, I have a review of a package I received from mybobbin.com, and one of those will be a giveaway if you'd like to hang around and see that review at the end. I'd like to start out with a previous finish. It's a tiny one, but it's a freebie. I love freebies from Pinterest. And this one, I think, was the second thing I ever stitched. So after my first little kit from Walmart, I picked this up off of Pinterest and put it on this little stand from Hobby Lobby. And it was in the spring shop about 2 years ago. It used to be, you can kind of tell, this neon yellow, the entire thing. And I painted it white and then put some stain on the bottom. And recently I changed this flower to reflect the bird because I think this will fit a lot of different pieces I would want to put on there. It just magnets on really simply. It's a strong magnet. So, and I tried to put some rickrack on the back, but it didn't quite stick out like I wanted, but I still think it's really cute. So that's from the Snowflower Diaries, I believe. And it's just a fun little piece with a bird. So that might be one you'd like to check out on Pinterest. And the other finish I wanted to show you was tiny. And again, it's another freebie from Pinterest. The blog post that shared this pattern was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And so I've seen other people stitch it, but I think it had kind of fallen into obscurity a little bit. So I was glad that a few friends had pulled it out and stitched it. And I tried something new with finishing. This is a little bit of piecing that I used some Kansas Troubles quilt charm pack pieces to do. And it caused my brain a little bit of a back and forth to figure out how to layer these pieces, but it wasn't that bad. I'm just not always very spatially oriented. And then this is some trim from Kitten Stitcher that I got in my last haul with this seam kind of twill measure tape, and then some seam binding that's from Lady Dot. I think this is called like Rust or something, Rusty Gate. And I put some old buttons on there. I got these don't know if you'll be able to see them. I should have brought some more down. These little clips that are called bulb clips. They're shaped like a light bulb. I don't know if you can see that very well. So that they can not have the bottom of a safety pin in your way. You can actually put more charms, and I have a little bell on there. And I got those from eBay for like $1, maybe $2. It took a long time to get here, but those are going to be really fun to be clipping on different accessories and different little charms. There it is again. I don't know if you can quite see it, but I'll try to link those below from eBay. I like to get finishing things directly from China. It's a lot cheaper. And on the back is some of my funky hand-dyed corduroy that I just wadded up, and some of my leftover dyes. It was a pair of pants, but it's really soft and looks kind of like fall leaves, I thought. And then the piece of the other half of the charm pack to close it. So it's just a fun little pin pillow, but it's stuffed with sawdust that I got from my dad, and it feels really nice. So love the way that turned out. I also finally finished my 5th block of the Village of Hawkhorn Hollow, And I was going to possibly cut off my hawk crown into a half piece, which made a lot of people gasp, I think. No, don't do that. And they were right, I think. I'm actually working my way down. This is the block I just completed so that I don't feel tempted to cut it off anymore. And I thought I was a lot closer to finishing it than I was. It took me a while to get all of those rows of grass, plus there's back stitching on those daisies. That was a little bit hard for me to figure out, and the lettering took a while. So these are so, what's the word? Deceptive. They seem like, oh, those are not that bad, but 90 by, are they 90 by 90? I know they're 90 wide. I think they're a little bit taller, but they are a lot of stitching. So here's the whole thing. My friend Michelle is thinking about starting it again because she loves that 2/2 on 36 coverage, or 1/2 on 40, but this is very densely stitched. It's not always the easiest, especially things like that sign and that brick house. They got really bulky, but I'm glad that I am soldiering on, and it is going to be beautiful. It already is, it's just obviously not finished. So Village of Hawkrun Hollow, I think I started that January 2019. It's gonna be a long-term project for me, but that's okay. I'm not gonna give up, and I do love it. So those were my two little finishes. The other things I worked on, I'm sorry, I kind of have them in their bags. This was a bag that my dad made me for Christmas from some Rifle Paper Company fabric. And I worked on, excuse me, the Shepherd sampler from Brenda Gervais. I wanted to keep working on it, but Sarah Woodham was my focus, and I really tried to stay consistent with that. I added several more rows of grass. That little man is new. He's the shepherd. And I started on the bottom of the little strawberry border. It's such a pretty piece. Very delicate and sweet. And it's about halfway. Not quite. Here's the tree where I am, so I've still got this to do, but it's so small. It's not any higher than a Hawkrun Hollow block. It's just a little bit taller. So I want to get back to that. This was on a finish goal. If we have another 24-hour marathon, or if I'm able to participate, excuse me, the minute I start filming, I start getting a tickle in my throat. If I'm able to participate, I hope to do a big focus on that and maybe make some really big progress on it. But it's a fun stitch and it's not really hard. The other one that was an unexpected start, and I blame Celeste and Elizabeth, was the Christmas garden piece. I bought this Home for the Holidays last year thinking I would do one of the smaller samplers, but this one was always in the back of my mind as a plan. And I also happened upon some Vicki Clayton hand-dyed fabric at a really good price, and so I thought, why not? I wanted to do it dark the way Salma did on Instagram. She's with Stonehouse Stitchworks. I'll write that there if I'm wrong, but I always admire her design, kind of recreations of classic patterns that we've seen a lot of times done just a little bit differently, and I copied. Hers was just posted, I think yesterday, in a beautiful ornate frame, and so I wanted to just put a few stitches in and see how that color works. This is kind of it's called bird feathers, but it almost looks like an old brass, like a really goldeny brown. And I don't know if my white is white enough. I might end up doing 3365. I think that is actually 3366, which is like light mocha, and I might go with winter white. Anywhere that's gold on the pattern, Salma changed to a cream color. And that was one of the more creative things I thought. So all of the border here is white, and then all of the different elements here almost look like snow, and it's just really pretty. My favorite part though, and I don't know how well you can tell, I showed at the end of my video number 22 I believe, how to over dye some floss that may be too bright. Maybe someone gave you some flosses that you can't use. That was the case with these. My aunt gave me an entire box of this just really bright red floss, and I over dyed it with scarlet. Now my floss is all getting combined, and turned out with just a really beautiful red that I love. And it does have some variegation to it. I painted it with a paintbrush, so it kind of has some striping of the darker red and the brighter red. And when it is stitched, I just really love it. So I'm calling this Aunt Ruth red because it came from my Aunt Ruth. And I don't know if you could use the DMC Christmas color, which I think is like 666 or something crazy like that. The worst Christmas number. If I could do the same end result, I would try it, because this is just such a pretty red. And I'm using 3371 for the darker color. And I used this on my Brenda Gervais piece last month as the chalkboard. But this color is actually a greenish color called Caper. And so I think that's gonna work out really well with this gold. That green is sort of brownish green, but I think it'll work just fine. So only 4 colors. I haven't picked my gold yet. I'm between a brighter gold and my Victorian motto that's called Straw. And we'll just see which shows up better on this fabric. So unexpected start. Celeste and Elizabeth are hosting this sale, and I think it's called Christmas Garden in September sale. And so I just wanted to join in, and I will be working on that more in November and December. So it's a fun stitch to do. The other one I worked on was Consider the Lilies. I stitched this on Sundays with the sale I co-host with Marissa. It's called Stitch Lilies on Sunday Sal, and it's just a beautiful piece. A lot of y'all have seen it, of course, and a lot of people have a lot more progress than I do. It just kind of depends on what my Sundays are like. If I'm really tired or if we've had a lot going on, I don't always get a lot done, but I'm working my way on that motif there. And none of the greens are the called for. None of the colors up until now are the called for, but that motif here that I did, that's mostly what I worked on last Sunday. The top colors are the called for overdyes. And then I'm using the silk that is a little bit bright for those apples and that motif there, but I think it looks good. I wanted to see how it looked when you stitched it 1/2 on 36. It kind of fades it out a little bit, but it is a little bit brighter than Beth's chosen threads. I don't know if you can tell that. Hers turned out a little bit darker, and mine's gonna be just a little brighter, but I still think it's so pretty. That's mostly where I worked. I also just kept going on the border. It's almost all the way around here, but it's so big. I can't even fit it all in the frame. So I'm almost to the bottom there, but I did a few more branches, a few more motifs, and I finished that one there. I did some math on Instagram, how many lilies there are, and I was kind of trying to break it up because it's such a big task. And I thought, well, if I did, there's 74 motifs on the upper part here, and 56 on the lower. That's every single motif, even the tiny ones, but they're mostly not tiny. And 40 lilies around the border. If I broke it up that way, I could feasibly get it done in maybe 18 months or something, but like I said, we'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna try to stress out about it. This is Light Mocha by Zweigart, 36 count. And my thread conversion, that was the other thing I wanted to show you, and I forgot to get it out. I have finally got that all figured out because, like I said, the silk conversion just wasn't working out very well without access to my in-person store. So I printed out all of my flosses. That's the Legend from Beth. And then this was my substitution. So I have both of these kind of laminated with packing tape, and I have them attached to my threads. Anything that's in a bag is silk and the rest is cotton. So that way I can remember, and I usually just pick out one motif at a time so it's not too hard, but I thought that that would be helpful to me to have it. Instead of trying to look at the back and front of the book, I have it like as a tag. So, and my eyes aren't so good. I could probably make that smaller, but I needed it big enough to read. So that's what I've done on lilies, and I had a few unexpected starts. I expected to start them in October. That's not what's unexpected, but I got a little bit antsy, and so I got to thinking about Matilda Hornbuckle. My friend Becky finished this already, and I'm pretty close. I really wanted to see what she looked like. I thought that would be an easy stitch to do while I was in Zoom meetings instead of my sampler that's a little harder for me to work on. This is just some pretty solid stitching. That boot is taking forever, that little shoe, but it's a lot of fun. And she's all done except for a couple rows on her hat and the boot. I didn't use any of the called for colors, as I am wont to do. I actually used some purples on that flower. That's a rum raisin from Weeks Dye Works. And it's not super obvious. I don't have the picture. I'll try to put a side by side of what she looked like on the chart, but it's pretty close. I did do some of my own hand-dyed threads. This rust color on her shirt has some cool variegation. That's one that I dyed myself. And then also the hat is brown that I painted with black. So it has a few specks of black in it. This is Pumpkin Pie by Gast, 310 by DMC, and then just some random Victorian mottos. I think that's Verdigris on her broom handle. That's one of my favorite teal threads. And around the center of the flower there. So just kind of fun. And this was some hand-dyed fabric that got a little bit too mottled. I felt like I was trying to recreate murky, and I made the bunches too tight when I poured it in. And so it was very heavily mottled. But, you know, when you stitch on this fabric and you have a pretty solid design like that, it's not super obvious how mottled it is. It just kind of looks like a, you know, grungy background. So I don't know if I'm going to do this in a frame. I have a frame that's really close to the picture that, oh, what's the Not Forgotten Farm lady's name? Lori? She framed it in a red frame that is very similar to what I have. Or I could do it in a pillow. So if you have any opinions on that, let me know. Pillow or framed. It's super cute. So I wasn't supposed to be working on that, but it was something I needed just as a quick stitch when I was trying to do things on the run or do things while I was talking. And that was a lot of fun. I also worked on Sarah Woodham quite a bit. I didn't make as much progress as I hoped, but the thing that was really encouraging from it is I sort of fell in love with the sampler, and I felt encouraged that, you know, it's not hard. She was 9 years old when she stitched it. The border is not hard, it's just tedious. And so I have a renewed sense of wanting to get it finished. And at the end, I was going to share it with a book that I read, and also the verse of Sarah. I don't think I was stitching that by any coincidence, or I don't think it, and I also don't think it was a coincidence that I was stitching it before the Great Pumpkin Sal that I'm hosting with Christy and Olivia. There have been a lot of themes that have just kind of been going through my mind lately with relation to Sarah's verse. So I'll share that at the end, and I am a person of faith, so if you're not interested in hearing how God was revealing some things to me, then I'll save it at the end and give you enough time to exit out so you don't have to listen if you're not interested in that. But if you are, then obviously you're welcome to stay. I wanted to share some fabric that I dyed in relation to plans that are upcoming. I have an entire video that I put out about 2 weeks ago that details all of my box full of pumpkin projects and all the things that I've put together. I did a jump start on some of them. Like I said, I already had Matilda Hornbuckle almost finished. And then I also started making some scarecrows with my mom last weekend. She was here for a visit. And so I have a basket upstairs full of body parts. I'm actually gonna end up making one for her and one for me. So my thought with the Great Pumpkin plans, the Great Pumpkin Sal plans, sorry, is I'm gonna try to do some Instagram stories. I'm not as adept at that or comfortable, but what I intend to do is just kind of give a daily update as to what projects I'm doing and what I'm working on. Some of them are going to be crafts and things like that. And so I'll put those over on Instagram starting tomorrow, October 1st. And if you're not on Instagram, I do hope to compile those in almost a vlog style at the end of the week, so you can kind of see a overview of all the different fun pumpkin stitching. And tomorrow I'm super excited to start with the Carriage House Samplings Falls Gifts, this old pattern that I found on eBay. I have seen it at Kit and Stitcher from time to time though, so it's not super hard to find. And of course, none of Kathy's things go out of print, I don't believe. They just might be a little bit harder to find. But this is not near as big as I thought. The pumpkin is only like 70 or 80 stitches high here on this side. And granted, it's a full block of stitching. It's not, you know, like a huge sampler. It's really going to be more like about 7 inches by 9. So kind of long and skinny, but boy, just like Hawk-Run Hollow, that's a lot of stitching. And because of that, I started it on a piece of 36 count and found that I just wasn't going to want to do that solid stitching. My linen was a little uneven, like even more so than usual. And I thought, that's going to give me fits. I really want to do this on an even weave. And so I ended up cutting off a piece of the Ada I found from the Facebook seller. Her shop's name is Rita something. I'll try to link that back from another video, but I ended up cutting off a piece of the Ada. I went ahead and searched it, and this is just going to be a lot. I think it's a 16 count. No, it's 18. I think it's going to be a lot easier to stitch on. And this took a couple of tries. Different Ada takes the dye differently. I don't know if she had like a sizing on the front of it, or if it just had, you know, a different, maybe a little bit of acrylic in the fabric content, but it was harder to take the dye. It ended up being like a light baby blue, which obviously I didn't want for a spooky Halloween piece. So I soaked it in vinegar, and I should have done that first, but I forgot. And so the second go around, I got much closer to what I was wanting. And I also used, it's so funny the way things kind of come into people's mind at the same time. The newer Flosstuber, Mama Loves UGB, what is her name, Michelle, she was just detailing all the experiments she'd been doing with walnuts, walnut shells as colorant, and it just so happened I had it in the mail. When she shared that video, I told her, I was like, you could not have been more timely. She did a lot of different experiments with it and showed the results. This is what it looks like over a black. This is just black Rit dye, and then I took the walnut stain. They say to add like, I think a teaspoon in some warm water and stir until it dissolves. And I just kind of splotched it around to make it look sort of spooky. So I like the way it turned out, and I like that it's a natural product. So I'm going to be doing more things with walnut stain. I have one more piece to show you. And the other thing I wanted to show you, it's so funny, this middle pumpkin here is kind of a lighter orange. This is charted all in NPI silk, which I didn't really want to invest in at this point. But when I pulled the DMC for this color, I just was not happy with it. I thought, I don't like that kind of neon-y feeling to it. And it's kind of hard to tell in today's light. I'll insert a picture where it's more obvious. This orange is so much richer. This is the called for NPI. And I was finally able to go to my LNS. I wore my mask and took a quick snapshot with my friend Rachel outside. We social distanced the whole time. But I was so glad to have replaced this color with an NPI. It's my first NPI that I've ever stitched with. So the other DMCs were fine, and I am using a lot of different overdyes too for different oranges. I have a fragrant cloves in there, and then some of the other DMC recommendations, and I'm going to kind of play it by ear. But that NPI was just much better. Sometimes it's nice if you can go to the store and see. I don't love all of the NPI to DMC conversions for the Hawk-Run Hollow Village. And so if I had it to do over with, if you're thinking about the Hawk-Run Hollow Village or even Autumn or some of the ones that people are starting, it's nice to look at the NPIs. The greens and blues don't translate real well in my opinion, and neither did these oranges. The DMC just doesn't even really have the depth or the the color of a pumpkin to me. So, and I think this one is called for in the autumn of Hawthorne Hollow. So that's just a tip if you're able. I know not everyone has access. I haven't had access for over, I don't know, 6 months or more. So if you have access and you're thinking about doing a Kathy Barrick, it would be nice to check out at least and make sure you like the MPI to DMC or even to Gast or an overdyed. So that was a plan coming up and some dye that I had done. The other one I did a piece of just Hobby Lobby even weave, 28 count. And this, I wanted to look like a stormy blue. So I used some charcoal and some denim blue, and that one turned out really fun. I've had a lot of people ask me to do dyeing tutorials, and I just don't have a way to kind of explain it other than I just keep adding until I like it. Sometimes I have to do things twice. I try not to use super hot water in case it'll shrink, but I just scrunch it up in a jar and add different colors. I did this one in a blue first and then the charcoal, because I don't like a ton of white spots, but I did want it to have some good modeling because it's going to be for this Scary Berry. So, and this will make it a little bigger. I'm not going to be able to use this template here. I was glad I remembered that because this is a 28 and this is for a 32. So I'm going to have to try to either increase this on my copier or figure out some way to make sure I get the dimensions right for a larger strawberry. And I thought that'll be fine. I don't mind having a bigger strawberry, especially with that design. It's going to be really cute with the moon and this and the ghost. And I think they'll show up good on that color. So that was some dye experimenting. And then the last thing, I was going to start today on Jenny beans for the parlor. And I reined myself in knowing I'm starting so many things for October. This will probably be my new year, new start. I did go ahead and use the walnut expressly, just the Walnut Mordant. And I'll try to link this. I got it from Etsy at a really good price. This is 60 inches of Ada. It's 18 count. And so it's gonna be a nice, huge piece. I would probably, I don't know how much it would cost in linen. I imagine it would be like at least 75 or something, but maybe more, maybe $100 because it's 55 inches long. So here it is. I was nervous to cut it. I don't know, it's such a big piece and I was just kind of procrastinating, and finally I was like, just bite the bullet and try. So I cut this down and then I scrunched it up best I could in like a big 13x9 casserole pan. And I just tried to pour bunches of the walnut on there, the walnut mixture with hot water. And at first I was thinking, this isn't taking the dye at all, but as you can see, it really did. It has some nice modeling. One side is more modeled than the other. And I actually think I'm gonna use the less modeled side. But it looks like an old paper. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. And it was one of those things of, don't be scared, just bite the bullet and try it. So I did go ahead and zigzag these edges. I don't know if you can tell, but that's gonna be a fun project and it'll probably be next year. Okay, next I wanted to share just a quick bit of haul and a free gift that I was sent from my bobbin. I also had a couple birthday gifts that my parents made me and I wanted to show you. This though was just a eBay find, not a gift, just something I found for $3. And it's not one I've seen very often. I think I've seen it before, but Colonial Homestead Pin Keep Drum and Berries. Gonna start making some drums. I've made berries, now I'm moving on to some drums. I'm finishing one for a friend right now. She doesn't know it yet, but it's gonna be fun. And then I coveted these for quite a while. I finally bit the bullet. I have a piece of Days Gone By fabric from the Silk Weaver that would be so pretty for this piece. And I found a good deal on Cobweb Corner. I also got this. I don't know if you've ever shopped with Cobweb Corner before, but I actually have an affiliate link with her. It's available to anyone really, but what it does is give you a discount and then give me a discount as well. So if you want to click on that and make a purchase, it's totally up to you, or you can just enter the website yourself and not bother with a code. It's no problem. But it is nice to have a little discount, and I think I got 20% off on these. And so these are a little bit more expensive, these charts, and I was able to finally get them, and I'm, like I said, hoping to put a little bit of a start on Goldtide, or I don't know if I said that, but I'm hoping to use that Days Gone By fabric, and then this one I want to start next year for 4th of July. Sorry for the glare. I know y'all have probably already seen Goldtide and Liberty Welcome though. They're just beautiful samplers that I've always admired. And the other thing, let me show you what my parents gave me. They brought these with them. My mom painted this 2 years ago, and she used to teach ceramic classes and took acrylic painting. It's a little bit wonky on the bottom, but she's a very good artist too. So I was thrilled to have this. She said she didn't have space for it in her newer house that's smaller, and it really goes well with my kind of bluey greens. So that was a fun treat that my mom brought that painting, and it has her signature at the bottom. So I'll always cherish that. And then my dad does woodworking. So, oh, and here's another use for the walnut. It also can be used to stain wood. And so my dad, I'd wanted this to use as kind of a level for, I might put it by my sink with like soaps and different things on a little like ceramic plate, or I might put it just, you know, it's nice to have levels when you're doing cross-stitch displays. And so I wanted a little bench. It's actually bigger than I thought it would be when he brought it. I was like, oh, thank you. It's just a piece of wood and some legs from Lowe's. So these are fun to make. They sell for, I think, like $30, $40 on Etsy and on different places you can find them, but they're really simple to make. So just find just some legs and a piece of board. So that was fun, and it stained with that walnut and some wax. I put a little bit of brie wax on top, so, or Minwax. I don't remember what brand it is, but just some wax. So that was a gift that was really sweet. Speaking of gifts, I have not had someone claim the last berry, and I'll put your name here. I don't have it right in front of me, but I'm waiting to hear from you about this gift. If I haven't heard from you by, let's see, I'm going to give you till the end of October, because what I'll do is if I haven't heard from this winner from my last Flosstube, what I'll do is just include this with my Great Pumpkin Sal offering. So I'll just stick it into the winner's project bag that I'm working on. I have it cut out, I just haven't sewn it. But if you want to claim this, I have it ready in a package to send to you, and the other ones just went out. So thank you for your patience in that. I just don't get out of the house very much with homeschooling. This is the table I sit at pretty much all day while I'm trying to help my son. He's very wiggly. So anyway, this needed to be claimed. The other two have been sent out from my 3,000 subscriber giveaway, and I would love for you to have that. The other thing I would love for one of y'all to have is this kit from mybobbin.com. Olga contacted me about 6 weeks ago and asked if I would like to just review one of their kits and try it out, and she would send me anything I wanted from their website. And so I thought that was really nice, really gracious of her. And I found a series, actually, one for me and one for y'all. This is called the Cottage Garden series, and it's a Riveris, I believe, or Rovaris, I'm not sure how you say that. It's kitted with Ada, 14 count Ada, by Zweigart. It's kind of an oatmeal heather, and it has wool floss. I've never stitched with wool, and this isn't my usual style. It's much more of a painterly kind of lots of detail, but it's not very big, and it's on Ada. So I thought, well, this would be the perfect opportunity. Let me see if I can slide it out, because it is kind of glary. It came so well packaged that she had this beautiful fall wrapping paper with different Russian words on it. And it has a sticker that says this is packed specifically by, I can't remember her name, Luba. And just a very nice presentation, and shipping from Russia. I wasn't sure when it would come, but it was very quick for the amount of distance it had to travel. So I just dropped it off. And it was well communicated. I got lots of updates. I knew how to track it wherever it was. And there's the piece I picked. See that squirrel on top? This reminds me of you, Amy. Kind of a natural piece. I thought it was so pretty. So I have that. It's also, it comes with as the one I'm going to give to y'all. It comes with a little wooden hanger. I'll probably stain this a little bit darker, but I thought it would be fun to do just a little wall hanging for winter. I don't have a lot of winter pieces, and it doesn't snow here very much in Texas, so this one isn't particularly snowy. It has a little on the feeder, but it's not, you know, like a snowman. So I thought that'll be fun to put out for winter. And they do have, I think, a spring and a summer piece. Oh, sorry, I just about lost my battery. A spring and a summer piece, but because of the Great Pumpkin Sale, I thought it would be perfect to share this one with y'all. And I'm not gonna open this one because it's so nicely packaged and all the threads are labeled. So if you would be interested in trying out a kit from my bobbin, then two things: you can enter to win this one and I will send it off to someone randomly selected, or you can check out the link I'm going to leave below to my bobbin. They have a lot of different styles. It's not as much primitive and samplery, but there are some, and they also have some really pretty kind of painterly pieces like this. So if you're interested in winning this, if you will just say sunflower. I love the sunflowers on there. So just put sunflower in your comment. Make sure you spell it correctly. I'll do a word search for the generator and randomly select one of y'all to win this, probably in a couple weeks. I don't want it to go very long because it's kind of a fall piece, obviously. So 2 weeks, and let me know if you'd like to stick. The last thing I wanted to share, again, I'll put a little disclaimer up here, kind of relates to my faith and some things that God showed me through the stitching of Sarah Woodham. Let me show it to you really quickly if you want to see it, but you don't want to hear my thoughts about it. This was just a beautiful piece that I was drawn to when I had no idea what I was getting into. As you can see, this verse is very long. It's pretty much the entire centerpiece of the sampler, and it's all over one. So I have got to be diligent to get it done, but it does have some special meaning to me that I was able to kind of find while I was working on it. And this is where I got to. Like I said, I didn't get as much done as I wanted. I've had some wedding dress shopping with my daughter. I'll put in a picture of my favorite dress. It's not the one she picked, but it was my favorite. And then her engagement picture too, which is also beautiful. But this was a lot of fun to get done. On the bottom, that entire row is finished, and then I just need to fill in that butterfly. I was afraid that my bird was way off, but I'm following Sarah. Sarah and I are simpatico. We are kindred spirits, I think. She stitched this in 1770, but I love how wonky it is. Like, if she gets a little bit off with her corners there, she's like, yeah, who cares? I'm just gonna keep going. So like, some of them aren't gonna line up very well, particularly over here. This one, the tail is kind of into that border, and then one of these edges over here isn't gonna be able to be complete because she ran out of room. But I love this piece on 36 count sand by Picture This Plus, and called for DMC and Gentle Arts. The Gentle Arts is that blue paint, which is so pretty. And then I'm also changing the border. It doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, here I am acting like Sarah. Let me put this side by side. This piece over here was done with Teresa's original DMC and Gentle Art conversion. And then this is done with a darker Old Hickory. Old Hickory just really irritates me because when I did my log cabin a couple months ago, you can find it, it was stitched, it was supposed to be stitched with this color, which is so golden. The DMC conversion for Old Hickory online is actually this. So you can see there used to be contrast with Old Hickory, and what is the gold on this one again? I'm using a DMC. I think it's supposed to be like heirloom gold or Grecian gold. Grecian gold. So there was supposed to be contrast between those two layers. But today, when I'm using the whatever Old Hickory has become, they're almost exactly the same. And I'm like, why am I bothering to change my thread if this color looks like 2 rows of the exact same. So I went ahead and switched it up on this side. So it's going to be different around 3 sides, but look what Sarah did down here. When she ran out of the gold color, she started using green on the border. So my border has lots of different colors, but I think Sarah would approve. We've kind of bonded as I'm stitching. I almost talk to her sometimes. It's fun. So that's the sampler. If you don't want to hear my book that I read and kind of some meaning I found in the verse that relates to my faith, then thank you for watching. And I hope you check back and watch my pumpkin plans and get involved and consider giving to the fight against human trafficking. So I will sign off with you here. If you want to stay, this verse just really spoke to me from Sarah Woodham, and I have to find my glasses. As I was looking at all that 1/1 stitching and feeling so overwhelmed, I really just kind of took to heart what Sarah was saying and felt like there was no coincidence that I started stitching this. It says, whenever I take my walks abroad, how many poor I see, what shall I render to my God for all his gifts to me? No, not more than others I deserve, but God has given me more, for I have food while others starve and beg from door to door. While others early learn to swear and curse and lie and steal, Lord, I am taught thy name to fear and do thy holy will. Are there thy saviors day by day to me above the rest? Then let me love thee more than they and try to serve thee best. Which I'm not sure if Sarah completely had her theology right there, but it just reminded me of all the gifts God has given me, my parents that were so good to me and took such good care of me, and all the other children whose parents may take good care of them, but they've been lost to them for whatever reason. The Freedom Shield Foundation work against sex trafficking just became more important to me. That, you know, it's kind of cliche, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And I just feel like my life has been so blessed with love and with care, and I need to do what I can to support that. The other thing that reminded me of that, I know Celeste had shared her favorite book in her last video, and I wanted to share mine. Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers is the best book I've ever read. It's not for everybody. It's a difficult subject. I've gotten a couple thumbs down on my Great Pumpkin Sal, and I think, well, maybe people just don't want to hear about human trafficking. It's not a pleasant topic. This book is not pleasant, but if you start reading it, I warn you, it will grab you into the story. I spent a Saturday, part of why I didn't stitch on Sarah, I read this entire book in one day, and it's like 400 pages. I think it's 375. But it is such a gripping story about a girl who is sex trafficked back in the 1800s. It's an allegory from a Bible story, and her name is Sarah. And I was like, okay, I get this message. Just a reminder that, you know, much has been given to me, and I feel very blessed. And I know not all of y'all have had that experience, but I hope that you've found a place where you're safe and loved. Most of us that are doing needlework have some spare room for those kind of gentle arts, as opposed to, you know, trying to survive tooth and nail. But it just brought that message back to me that, you know, I need to do what I can to help with this horrible situation in our world, and I need to be grateful for what God has done for me. I got a thank you note, speaking of, from the CEO of Freedom Shield. We're over $1,000 toward my goal of $1,500, and so I'm so happy. We haven't even officially started the sale until October 1st, but she said that she'd never had a single such a successful fundraiser from an individual. And I want to say, oh, it's not an individual, it's all of y'all. It's so many of you coming along beside me, and I wanted to thank you. So Carrie sent that, and I will be updating y'all, as I said, probably within about a week, I hope, as to how much we have brought in and what kind of crafts I've been up to, and more prizes. I'm listing so many. I have over 26 prizes, closer to 30. So keep an eye on Instagram, and I will try to run a reel at the end of this video to show you some of the things that are available. Even if you just have $5, every bit counts. So thank you so much for spending time with me today, and or whatever time of day it is that you're watching, and for supporting our Great Pumpkin Sale, hashtag the Great Pumpkin Sale, and I hope that you can be involved over the next month. As I say at the end of all my videos, Psalm 90 verse 17 says, "May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands." Thanks for watching.